All right, let's see what this idiot has to say.
Black Americans were the most married group of people in America. By 1965 and beyond, we were still up there. But somewhere after 1965, we saw a dramatic fall off. It was in that year in 1965 that the United States passed a law called the immigration law. I'm gonna call it the immigration equality law. And it began to allow African immigrants and Caribbean immigrants to come to the United States. And they brought with them their culture. And all of a sudden, the measurements for Black marriage began to decline. If you want to keep it 100, talk to some of these people and ask some of these women how they're treated in their homeland. Look at some of this crime going on in these Caribbean countries. I'm just saying. I bet if you began to do the balloon pop, if you began to have these people fill out a questionnaire as to where their people came from before they're allowed to open their mouth and speak on Black American issues, I bet we would find out a lot. We would have a better photo, a better picture of who's making these statements and why. You had a bad experience with your daddy because your mama, because your daddy was a Jamaican man and your mama was from Barbados and your daddy used to whoop up on your mama. So now you grow up angry with Black men, and foundational Black American men had nothing to do with that. We were the most married group of people in America before all these African immigrants came over here, before all these Caribbean immigrants came over here. And they had to reckon with the fact that now they have this freedom. You got Caribbean women and African women who've never been free in their life in their own country. And now they get over here and all they got to do is call 911 and they can get Dexter St. Jock hauled away by some white men. I'm just saying.
When the views dry up, these men have built no skill. See, the red pill movement, the Negro manosphere guys, have been reduced to content scale. All the money they can make is on social media. And now you're finding that they are scrambling. Austin Holloman, all these guys that took off in their 20 years old, 21, 22 years old, and CEO, all these men that followed Tariq, started YouTube channels and stuff. I've known some of them can have 100,000 subs, but they're getting 5,000 views per video. That can't pay a bill. So the algorithm is shifting away. And when the algorithm leaves you, they got no skill. I can shut this thing down and go about my business because I don't need this stuff. I don't take paychecks from YouTube. I haven't even looked at my AdSense balance in like months. That's why I take it out once a year. But these guys need that payout every month. Do you need to build skills? If you're a young Black man listening to me, yeah, I say some mean things about your community from time to time, but the real talk right now is this content shit is not it. You are going to fail if algorithms shift a certain way, and there's only so many eyes you can compete for. There's so many people doing this, there's only so much eyes you can compete for. So everything is going to get saturated down. You're only going to have a very small core of people that listen to you or watch your stuff. Because they have to leave and go to work too. So you find out these Austin Hollemans are streaming from 6 in the morning. You wake up, he's live at 6 in the morning in the US. He's live. And there are people on it. Those people, when they get jobs, they won't be able to be on it. And if you do it at my time, which is in the evening now, everybody's off, everybody's chilling. Some of you are working, but you have it just in your ear, you're listening. You don't have so much time to listen. So you come in and out, maybe you catch the replay, or you pick the little clips from time to time. But billions of videos are available every minute. And there's only so many people that are here. So the more your work hours expand, the fewer time you have to consume content. Eventually, that saturation affects the bottom line of the people that create this. And if you depend on this as a full-time job, you're not going to make it. When this dries out, you got no skill. You got to go back and work a shitty job. Like these passport bros that came back. When you are this young, Dennis is going to be fine. At least he's a lawyer. He can probably, not all lawyers do good, but he has a license that he can kind of tool around it and make a living. Okay, he can make a living. But a lot of these other guys cannot make a living when this shit dries up. And unfortunately, that's a lot of young black men. Now let's see this intellectual that is blaming black immigrants for their their marital ills. Let's go to first start one.
Because the other black women expect me to be strong and black. It's just, instead of just saying I'm a woman, they throw that you got to be strong and black up in here. Those are the societal expectations. What else? The devaluation of black women's desirability. That can compound feelings of isolation and undesirability. Black women are known, they're not, look.
You saw what you heard what he just said? That black women know that they are not beautiful, that they are not desirable. This is what he was saying about black women only 2 years ago. These are the men that have contributed to the deterioration of the black family, but they don't take any responsibility for their destruction and the damage that they cause. Look, and I'm sure the comment section is going to be, see, there's eye candy and there's eye poison. Thank you, natural state. My 3 aunties are in the same boat. No man's land. Sad. But this is this guy, and I'll play it back a little bit so you can catch it. This is how they treated their women and how they spoke on their women.
The black women's desirability. That can compound feelings of isolation and undesirability. Black women are known, they're not, look.
See, caught himself there. He said black women know that they're not the most, whatever he was trying to say. This is what he thinks of black women. No wonder he didn't marry one, I guess.
Black men find black women attractive in their most desirable state, in their most natural state.
So these are all those red pill talking points, right? This is where he was a few years ago. Let's see. Let's catch a few more of them.
You have a problem with the culture that is teaching you how to operate, how to interact with men. There is a problem there, and you need to address it. Now, I've pointed out to you, hey, we got Dr. Amos Wilson. You got the link in the description. It explains to you that culture is supposed to solve problems. And we have problems in the black community. And who teaches the culture? The culture is passed down from mother to children. The mothers teach the children. The mothers teach the culture. The mothers do that. And so what does that mean? What that means is that we got a toxic culture that needs to be corrected. You hear with these women, you hear with those Latino women, they're Latinos. They operate by what? A culture called familia, which means what? Family first. They talk about respect. They talk about trust. They talk about loyalty. They talk about how shame is used to keep the family.
See, these things that they look at in other cultures and they project that they are also supposed to have the same. Women are not going to trust you if you're a bum. Women are not going to trust you to make money decisions if you're drunk and if you spend money like crazy and if you're going to the strip clubs, you're smoking weed, chilling with the boys. Your behaviors has made women distrustful of you. It comes back to what I've been saying. Their issue is a lack of accountability. They are the problem for the most part. It's not the women. Because other people can come from other cultures, marry these same black women in America and have a successful family. It happened. I've seen it. And when they go overseas, these same men that are unhealed, aka the J-Rellos, we see what they do when they go overseas, right? These guys grew up on the internet. These are the manosphere guys. These are the this is what Kevin Samuels did to the black community. He destroyed them. A lot of the KS followers are the Tariq guys right now. I know that because I go to all their histories. When they create content, I go to their very old history to see their evolution, where they started from hating immigrants. Then at some point around 2020, you see their excitement for what Kevin Samuels was saying about their women. And that trickles down to them today. They're going to move on to something else because now they caught the immigrants' attention. We are hitting them back, right? So now they're going to look at this and like, we got to go somewhere else because these guys are going to say some very sensitive things because we don't have any breaks. We're going to say it. We don't give a damn. You know, this is his attitude towards the same woman he's supposed to have built families with. The same guy that is blaming us. This is what he thinks about his own women.
Family to keep the women in line. That's what they do. And you
keep the women in line. What does that soundbite mean? Keeping women in line means that you're projecting physical strength over them. It's a code for abusive men. I don't need to keep my wife in line. I just have to hope that my wife remains beautiful and kind-hearted and raise beautiful children. I don't need to keep her in line. What are you keeping her in line for? She's not some pet. You know, she's not some pet. And this problem stems from the fact that the Black American men didn't learn from a capable man, didn't learn from a capable father, didn't learn from a capable man of exceptional ability or exceptional character. There's very few men like that. So these men grow up looking for answers every part of their life. Now they were looking for answers as to why they can't build relationship with women, but the Mexicans seem to be able to do it. The Africans seem to be able to do it. So they looked around and they pointed fingers at the women and they blamed the women and they got away with it. Now they're looking around and seeing why they're struggling economically, why they're not doing well, why they're not building skills. And then they're looking around and it's like, well, these immigrants are building skills. They're living in the suburbs. All of a sudden, the Black immigrants, which is a small minority, by the way, are now their problem. And they're forgetting that most of us actually, when we moved to the US, we used to root for these guys. Okay, I don't anymore. But I used to root for them. You know, I used to root for them. I didn't agree with a lot of things they do. I don't. For them, I think I've always opposed them ideologically. But if they won, I was happy for them. Nowadays, I'm not. You know, right now I'm completely not. I don't even go around there looking for good news stories about them. They're hard to find, you know. But even if I find them, I skip them quickly. You know, I'm not gonna come here and sit here and give you a very good story about these guys. I'm not gonna do that. When I see it, on to the next. Give me the bad news, right? So I played you this one. Let's see what else he's got.
You heard the women talk openly about how it operates. You heard about the man cheated on his wife and the woman still didn't leave.
That's what they are looking for. So what the submission and all the things they are trying to get is they can be drunks, they can be alcoholics, they can be underworking, they can be low achieving, low vibrating men, they can be cheats, sleep with all the women in the hood and expect Shaniqua to remain at home. This is what the red pill was looking for. Women that have careers, it's not going to work. It's not going to end up well. They're just not going to do it, man. This is why, and I've had some of them confess to me in live streams that you guys can see it on the other channel, where they say that they were showing their trips overseas when they started traveling overseas. They were showing their trips overseas to make Black women in America jealous. If you're showing it to make Black women in America jealous, then the Black women in America have already won. I agree with you. They have nothing to submit to. The Black women in America have already won. If you have to go back and show them receipts, they don't care. If they cared so much, they would have been with you. All they're saying is level up. If you can't level up, keep it moving. What is wrong with a woman wanting more and wanting better? Throughout humanity, that's what women have always wanted. When I went to see my wife's family to ask for her hand in marriage, the uncles, and because her dad has passed now, so the uncles and the brothers, they asked, what do you do, young man, for a living? The reason is they need to know so that they can establish whether you can take care of their daughter. You guys are trying to get that step. You're trying to get marriage on a discount. And you don't want to be submissive to the rules of marriage, which means that you have to be faithful and you have to be caring and loving, and you have to raise your children the right way. And you have to learn these things. It doesn't come natural to any man. You got to learn these things, man. Who told you that God gave birth to you and all of a sudden you're going to be a great dad? You have to learn, man. Every day is a learning process. Every day is difficult. When your children are sick, it's a difficult feeling. When there's an emergency, all of us that have been dads, we've gone through this. If there's an emergency, you have to act, and you have to act fast. You have to protect them. You have to guide them so that you get that result. That CEO guy, he went and did some shoplifting in Ohio when he was 17 years old. And he told his own story, but he's told it because he's trying to make an excuse that because you're 17 years young and dumb, so that should be something that shouldn't be looked back on. I'm like, no, motherfucker, that means you had a criminal mind. It doesn't matter even if you're 14 years old. Because my children are not going to do that and go rob a Walmart for some toys around Thanksgiving because daddy is going to buy them those toys. So that explains, this is why I said everything that I've said on the internet is factual. I read these people. I learn, like I study them. Almost 99% of the people that move towards Tariq Nasheed are people with criminal records or have had a disturbed past, or they were raised by single moms. They're just looking for answers. That's all they're doing. They're just looking for answers. So sometimes I really feel bad for them. I pity them because they will not find these answers. They don't have the power to even do anything. Even if all the stuff they can say about immigrants, they still will not have the power to do anything. And if they do anything that is violent, Massa is just going to lock them up. And they're going to go back to where they belong anyway. These people are very powerless. So sometimes I feel bad for them, But we have to come here and push back and break down these lies, because they feed these lies to very uneducated people and they believe it.
Family, you ladies, look, again, as I said, as Minister Japp said, black women are not ready to compete with white women. Why? Well, he did the program. Kevin Samuel said black women are enemy. Black women's enemy is a Hispanic woman, meaning that's your greatest competition. Those are the women who are out here who are out here stealing your men away from you.
Hispanic women in America are not lining up to take black American men. What is he talking about? Once in a while, you get like a low-ranking Hispanic woman to be with you. Once in a while, you get a low-ranking Hispanic woman to be with you. Most Hispanics, guys, I speak Spanish. I'm very embedded in the Spanish community. I go to Spanish concerts. I hang out with Venezuelans and Salvadorians and Colombians here in the Dallas area. Salute to Kobe. The only time you get them is if you travel to Latin America. Over here, they're not walking around looking for black men to marry. The only time they marry black men is if they need green cards. They even laugh about this stuff. But these idiots don't know it. I know it because, like I said, I'm in their community all the time. The Hispanics are like my second cousins. I'm very close to them. So I know at a man-to-man level, the things they talk about. These idiots are over here thinking that Hispanic women are so much into them. No, they're not. The only time the Hispanic women want them is if they've traveled there, and that's because of their money. And most of the times they settle for prostitutes. I know that for a fact, which I'm about to show you.
Why? It's a lot to it. And we're going to talk about culture. We're going to talk about.
So if you go back to most of his old videos, he gets some of it right. He blames their culture and their people. Then some of the old videos, he kind of like goes. Now he's saying it's immigrants' fault that their marriages are broken.
Family.
And it's shaped by a confluence of diverse influences. Now, here's the thing. Somebody say no black. Somebody type no black in the chat room, right? Somebody type no black in the chat room. A lot of black Americans love to say, well, they don't think they black. Well, y'all don't think y'all African. Somebody.
Did you catch that? Okay. So this was 2 years ago. This man believed that he had African ancestry. This is why I said these are a group of men, mostly didn't come under the leadership of a father, didn't come under the leadership of an uncle that would be a mentor in place of a missed father. A lot of these men, Dennis's age, they were a product of the crack epidemic, or they were borderline participants of it. So they are in the world on their own, which it should be very sad. And they could have really learned a few things from their connectivity to the African continent. They could have reclaimed a few things. But their superior mindsets didn't allow them. Like they just couldn't hold it together. This is why only 2 years in, he's done a full, complete ideological shift. My ideology as a conservative has never changed since high school. I've remained conservative since high school. These guys go through, every 2 years, they move on to something else. They keep switching and switching and switching. So they are centered, confused, looking for answers. Today, this yellow man is blaming black immigrants for poor marital rates in the black community. We don't really come into contact with these guys for us to be. So is that not an admission that they are so easily influenced? That is also sad. Either way, whichever way you look at it, it's sad. It's either you're submitting to us, so you're easily influenced, or you're just lost. I believe the latter is true. I think these people are just lost. They need a little bit of guidance. And even more sad is that they have to raise children. And they have to teach these children. And if this is what they're teaching people on the internet, these children have no chance. These children have no chance, man.
Room, right? Somebody type no black in the chat room. A lot of black Americans love to say, well, they don't think they black. Well, y'all don't think y'all African. How many black people in America say you African? Y'all refuse to say. Matter of fact, y'all got religions now saying you indigenous. Isn't that what y'all say? Me no black. That's what black American people say. I ain't black. I'm light skinned. I'm mixed. I'm mixed with Indian. That's what y'all say. That's what you say. But the facts are this. And this is what I want you to understand. The genetic tapestry of the Dominican Republic is as beautifully interwoven with the threads and are remarkably similar to those of African Americans. And what this does is it illustrates a shared lineage that stretches across continents and centuries. Just as many Black Americans trace our ancestry back to a blend of African, European, and indigenous roots, Dominicans likewise, and it embodies a rich genetic mosaic. The genealogical DNA, the studies highlighting their Dominican genetic makeup indicates that it consists of European, Sub-Saharan, African, Native American ancestry. Okay, and that echoes back to the journey that Black Americans took. The African.
So these guys, even though they are looking around the world for answers, I think traveling to the DR, playing with the chicas, helped him understand, get some clarity. Okay, it helped him get some clarity, but they also said then a kid of cheeseburgers. It helped them get some clarity, but like I said, because they don't have that base, they are very easily moved. You can convince them to do anything. They are very movable parts, these people, right? They are not like the Africans or the Caribbean people. The Caribbean people have a clear understanding that they have an African ancestry. They live in the Caribbean. They got there through some sad stories, okay? They admit that. But they have also built a national identity regardless, depending on what country in the Caribbean that they find themselves in, with their own national anthems and their own cultural things. But whenever they do carnivals, they do everything in reference to their African roots and their African ancestry. This big Brazilian carnival in Rio de Janeiro that all these Black Americans go to, that they enjoy, the Afro-Brazilians that have influenced this have done it due to their connection to the African continent. The Palenque festivals that I go to, I'm about to go to one in June in Colombia. That is Afro-Colombians that are inviting me to the Palenque festival. This is what a global Black unity was supposed to look like. How come I have no issues with Afro-Colombians? They were also a product of the transatlantic slave trade. I think they had it even worse and still have it worse now. Like Colombia's Afro population right now is still increasingly poor, and their poverty numbers are even going up and up and up. But they don't show any disrespect towards Africans. When I went to a Colombian home in Palenque, they even served me yuca, which is cassava, and in a way that looked like how Africans did it. And their welcome approach was just similar to what we do. If you transcribe that to North America, none of us will even make it a second in a Black home here. I don't know any immigrant that has been invited to a Black American home to eat dinner. I've been to more white homes and Hispanic homes in the US. I've never been to a Black home or a Black apartment. Never stepped foot in one. Never been invited. So you have to understand how these things are shaped up. And that is because this is what they are culturally. They are not a very welcoming group culturally. It's not a bad thing. This stems from just living in the West. Most Western people are just not welcoming people. Okay? It's just, I don't say this as a cheap shot. That is very true. Western people are very individualistic. This is just how it works. The ones that are welcoming and integrating and like to learn different cultures and languages and how people do things and embrace other cultures, they have to learn that. They learn that maybe through having a roommate in college, or having a teammate at a sports thing, or having a best friend in high school that was from a different country, or from traveling overseas. This is why I said traveling would have fixed a lot of their problems, but they were traveling overseas for chickens. They were not traveling overseas for some cultural expedition. Okay, and I'll show you why. Let's see if we can find some of it.
Hope everybody's having a great weekend. Had a great weekend. It's Monday for me. Chilling with my lady on the beach. She's a wonderful woman. I told her I like her cooking better than eating out, but we've been eating out a couple of days here. Can't wait to get back home to her cooking. You got a lady, man, make sure you got a good one. You got a good one, man. Make sure you treat her right, man.
See, if you're somebody that knows this region of Latin America like I do, this is a worker. Okay. So even when they go overseas, they pay. All right. Hugging and kissing a street worker. Salute to Rainbow the God, man. Shout out to Rainbow the God. See, everything Nana says is true. I'm the realest on YouTube, man. When I do research on these guys, everything connects. It just connects, man. It connects. Okay? We did not destroy their families. Shout out to Mr. Danso is in the house. We didn't destroy their families. They did. This behavior, this is why he couldn't keep 2 marriages. Because he could not stay in line. He wanted to, like what he said, he wants to keep the ladies in line. He wanted to take control, be able to cheat, so the women still remain. These men are disturbed, man. We're dealing with deranged, sick men that are looking for answers in the world. They cannot find it. And it sucks because they have an audience now. They're going to teach all these young men this bullshit.
Y'all be cool, man. I'm out there on the beach.
Yeah. They know, the ones that know how to work the camera like that. Oh, yeah. These are all, threw some money on it. Yep. 5 years ago. I don't know if this was after divorce number 2. Somebody says a true inspiration. I told you this is how they influence these boys. to be PP boys, right? You guys, people don't understand the power of influence. Sometimes they come in, why are you doing this? Why are you doing? You don't understand the power of influence, man. You can shift people in the right way. You know, for me, it's a win if one person moves or changes their views on things, and the things that have worked for me, I share it openly, that I believe strongly that if you apply it, it might work for you. I've done my job. The other side of the show is when we push back on their bullshit, okay? Those of you that were in my live stream when I talked about shorting oil, if you did, you probably made quite a bit of money. I made $7,000 on that shit. You know? That's more money than I've ever made on YouTube, right? Some of you did. If you made some money, good for you, right? Some of you didn't because maybe you didn't jump in it so fast, but I put it out there. You know, it's one of my many things that I do. And it may have helped somebody. It may have helped somebody. But this is our guy.
Hey, see, first of all,
no
I don't really
backtracking
like
now.
the way you
No
just brought us in
backtracking.
here like that, man. We don't need the smoke, man. We don't need that type of smoke, okay? What happened was, I got divorced, and I looked around and I said, you know, I want to change. You know, and I never really traveled. I went to school. These guys went to school with me, and they know all we did was study. And so I got married. That didn't work out. I got divorced, and then I said, well, you know what? Let me get a passport and see what that's like. So I started traveling overseas. I went to the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, all over London, Europe, things that I had never done before, and I liked it, and I liked what I saw, and I enjoyed myself. And when I did decide to date, I got treated like a king, so I go where I'm celebrated. You know, and that's
So,
basically it.
You're not celebrated here in the United States like you want to be.
Okay, see, what had happened was I got divorced, you know, but I'm going to be honest with you guys.
Yeah, he got divorced because he was not a mature man. He was not a man of exceptional character. So these women sometimes just can't withstand bullshit. And she took off. So out of being pissed, he joined this everything that they are doing is out of some shit that happened to them. Okay, he got pissed. And this is why he became a passport bro. Sitting on TV talking about, you know, with a lot of letting these people, I guess the guy on TV don't know that the countries he listed, he was paying for prostitutes.
The juice is not worth the squeeze. I work all my life. I do everything I can to please my wife, and then she divorces me. 70% of marriages are brought to divorce by the women in those relationships. So clearly people aren't happy. Look at the marriage rate. Look at the depression rate that we have. I think people need to get out a little bit more. But more importantly, you know, it's something that I like. These guys, I know that they don't feel the same way I do because my Facebook page has a diverse group of guys with different ideas. And so this is just what works for me, you know?
Now, if you look at all these three men and the reasons they gave, who is the sucker in the list? Who is the confused child here? Yellow man. Yellow man is the most confused guy here of all the three. This guy, my friend here on the far right, says that if you want those things, you can find them in America. That is absolutely true because they are still these same Dominicanas that Dennis is going for. They live here in New York. They are here in the U.S. They are immigrant women here in the U.S. that believe. I told you when we started the stream, the Mexicans are doing it in the neighborhood. A roofer is with a hardy that will bring him food every day. So it's happening here in America, right here. Okay? Quitters are the ones that typically just up and leave when they face any obstruction. And this is typical across everything they do in life. Okay? This guy struggles as an attorney, as a PI attorney. He runs a solo firm in the hood for a little bit, gives up on it, becomes a YouTuber. Okay? Becomes a passport bro, tries to be the face of the passport bro. He identified as African American in this live stream, and then all of a sudden he's FBA. He's gonna move on to the next, and to the next, and to the next. They are not. This guy cannot be a focal point. This explains why his marriage failed. I bet these two other guys Their lives are so much better now than this idiot. We should probably look them up and check their LinkedIn's and see how well they're doing.
And I don't have time to come home and argue.
And so that's what you get with
I don't.
what you
Yeah.
perceive to be an American woman.
I think that American women, they have so much pressure on them that it's nearly impossible for them to fulfill those traditional roles that women have fulfilled all the way up until the 50s, when industrialization and it's impossible for them to do that. So the culture.
And that is one of the biggest lies. In developing countries right now, women have jobs too. Some of the best performing students in my high school were women. I have women friends that are medical doctors. I don't buy this bullshit these people are saying. You know, like these people took advice from Kevin Samuels that had never been married. See, marriage is one of those things that if you're a man and you're looking from the outside in, before you join the club, you think you have all the answers. And then when you come in and you see that it's much complicated than just dating a chick, you start to respect the men that have done it and done it longer. These men were not ready. They were not taught to do this shit. They thought they were going to be guests working their way through it. And soon as they face them, I ask, why do you think when you come home from work, you're going to be arguing with your wife? For most marriages in the US, when you come home from work, your wife will be coming home from work too. So nobody has time to argue. We are both tired. Can you have some disputes or talk over things that are there? Arguments are part of the discussion. These people just want a woman to shut up and not have an argument.
¿Tú recuerdas mi canción? Caliente. Magnífico.
That's a different chica from the one that he just showed us, and it's all around the same time. So he was paying for bucks in the DR. Okay, he was paying for bucks. So you guys see ideologically how this guy has evolved. This is all happening in 5 years. This is how much change he's done from Elijah Muhammad to Pan-Africanism. You can't make this shit up, man. These blacks, bro. I'm telling you, man.
All right, everybody, get excited. CW39's hit reality show is back.
At this point, I want to be a better father. I'm not going to change how I feel, and I'm willing to fight for my kids.
Well, co-parenting with the Spurlings is serving up a new dose of reality starting this Saturday. And we are getting real, like we always do, with Dennis Spurling himself. Thanks so much for waking up with us.
No problem. Thanks for having me. We have a great season coming up. We have some great folks on. Coleon Noir is going to come on and talk about gun rights and gun activism, but also, more importantly, gun safety. Because this is Texas and this is Houston and this is part of our tradition. And so co-parenting with the Spurlings is not just about the Spurling family, but it's about Houston. It's about Texas, about family values and what we cherish here in this state.
Well, speaking of family values, you have a new baby mama.
I have a
You knew I was going to ask.
There's a woman that I am co-parenting with.
So you have two that you're co-parenting
I have
with.
my lovely, wonderful ex-wife, Stephanie, that we all know.
Lovely, wonderful ex-wife. I've never heard that in one sentence before. These boys are lost, man.
And then I have my child by my former fiance, and
he was fitting the stereotype. That's what the uncle was trying to push on. Like, hey, so you got the two baby mamas now. Over here talking about black immigrants destroyed their marriage statistics. Look at him. Look at how he is behaving. Look at how the man is behaving over here, blaming us immigrants for their L's in terms of family. That's the family he's constructed.
The relationship didn't work out, but there's a child.
Now, how are the boys? How are they doing with a new baby in the mix?
They're enjoying it. You know, it's my job to foster a great relationship between my sons and their brother, because they're all my children and I have to treat them with the same degree of love and respect. And so as a father, that's my responsibility. And I don't allow myself to be one of those men that cop out and say, well, I'm going to take care of these because they're easy, as opposed to, you know, and I'm just going to forget about this one because it's hard.
So this is when he's still trying in the US, before he gives up. After all this nice talk he said on radio or TV, he dips out and starts buying prostitutes overseas. He's a piece of shit, man. So this is a guy that is over here talking about immigrants are the reason why black families are not together. You know, look, this is the spin and the cycle that this yellow man has done to us today.